love involves worship. Worship, kuabudu. Yani upendo unakuvuta hadi unamwabudu Mungu wa kweli kabisa. Kwa sababu love involves worship. And now, our theme for the Youth Week of Prayer has been, love is a verb. Love is arousing us to action, to show it by worshiping even the right God. And now in the book of John, chapter 4, verse 23, the Bible says, but the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in truth and spirit, for the Father is seeking such to worship. John 4:23. And now in the Bible again, we are being presented with a story in the book of 1 Kings chapter 18. Actually, even when you read 1 Kings chapter 17. The story in 1 Kings chapter 18, starting from verse 20, is about Ahab, King Ahab. This king, you know, he led the whole Israel to worship idols, to forget the true God who created them in his own image and likeness, the one who created the heaven and earth. Ahab, instead of leading Israel to worship the true God, he led them to worship a false god. And on top of that, he married Jezebel, and they worshipped idols. They led the children of Israel to go against the laws of God, and they started worshipping idols. And so, whenever, even when people go to worship idols and the world seems to be going against the laws of God, there is always a remnant. It is in this period that also Elijah was living. The Bible says in 1 Kings chapter 18 verse 20, so Ahab sent for all the children of Israel and gathered the prophet together on Mount Carmel. And Elijah came to all the people and said, how long will you falter between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. But the people answered him not a word. Then Elijah said to the people, I alone am left a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. And so Elijah gave them a challenge, the false prophet of Baal, that I want you to elect an altar and call upon your God, the God who will answer by fire. That will be the true God to worship. If your God answers with fire, that will be the true God. But if the God I worship answers us with fire, that should be the true God to worship. He gave them a challenge. And so the false prophet gathered the children of Israel. Ahab gathered the children of Israel with his false prophets, and they elected an altar. This false prophet called upon God, upon their false God, from morning even until noon, and he did not answer. They even cut themselves because they wanted their false God to answer by fire, but he did not answer because it was a false prophet. It was a false God. And so it was at noon, in verse 27, that Elijah mocked them and said, cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he is meditating, or he is busy, or he is on a journey, or perhaps he is sleeping and must be awakened up. So even Elijah started mocking them because their God refused to answer them, because he was a false God. The true God to be worshipped is the God who created the heaven and earth. And the false God, he gave them a challenge, call upon your God if you will truly answer by fire, but he did not answer because he was a false God. Love involves worship. If you truly love God, then you will obey him. You will follow what he is saying. You know, because of the false God that Ahab led the children of Israel to worship, even rain stopped for 3 years. When you read the Bible, for 3 years it did not rain because the children of God had gone against the laws of God. Maybe even us here in this world that we are living in Kenya, or whichever part of this world, it has not maybe rained for a while because we have gone against the laws of God. And we need to go back again, we need to come back again and erect and create time to worship the true God, the one who created the heaven and earth. Because worship, an altar, it means that we need to create time to worship the true God. At the family altar, in our offices, we need to create time and worship God. The children of Israel forgot to worship God, the true God to be worshipped, being led by King Ahab and Jezebel. And so when it came to the turn of Elijah, look at what he did. And Elijah, in verse 31, and Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, and whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, Israel shall be your name. Then with the stones he built an altar, and the name of the and an altar in the name of the Lord. And he made a trench around the altar, large enough to hold 2 seahs of the seed. And he put the wood in order, cut the bull in pieces, and laid it on the wood, and said, Fill 4 water pots with water, and pour it on the burnt of sacrifice and wood. They even poured water on the altar, on the burnt offering, on the cut bull. They even poured water. And when Elijah called upon the Lord, God, the God of Elijah,